Welcome back, my friend. This is Mr. Alan in the world of toys. And today I have a very special guest. You know the Diamond Select Toys did also Minimates and many other brands. And today I give you the one and the only Zach Oat. Welcome, Zach.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. It's good to be here.
You're welcome. And thank you to come back on my channel for another interview together. And I want to start immediately about the Minimates. You did with Diamond Select thousands of Minimates. And tell me the story. How start this idea and what is the concept in the beginning of the Minimates?
Well, full disclosure, I wasn't there at the beginning as part of the company, but I was reporting on them at the magazine I used to work for, ToyFare. My understanding is that they were looking to find something to capitalize on or to play off the popularity of the block figures that were coming out of Japan, like the Kubricks. There were other lines that have fallen by the wayside. The Kubricks are the ones that are still around today. So they came up with an idea for a block figure. Obviously, these were all inspired by the popularity of Lego figures. But they came up with a block figure design, and it was called the Minimate because it was designed by Art Asylum, and they were all the inmates of the Art Asylum. So they were Minimates, and originally they were 3 inches tall, and they were based on a lot of different properties: Star Trek, the movie Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and rock stars like Ozzy Osbourne and Alice Cooper. And then the opportunity came up to do Marvel. And Marvel, they had to be a certain size, so they ended up doing a 2-inch body. And that was where it all started. So most of the Minimates that exist today are 2 inches tall because the Marvel line started in 2003. First Minimates came out in 2002, but the Marvel line started right after that in 2003, and they've been going ever since. We just released Series 80. And yeah, one of the original designers of the Minimates was Nelson Asensio, who still does design work for us today, not on Minimates, but on other lines of ours. And currently, our Minimates are designed by a guy named Barry Bradfield, who's very talented. He also designs other items for us as well. But he does all the character design, and he does a lot of the line selection along with our president, Chuck Tercera. So, yeah, every now and then they ask me who I'd like to see, but for the most part, or who the fans would like to see rather, and who I think the fans would want to see. But for the most part, I just am happy to be telling fans about them, and I'm happy that we're still putting them out after next year. It'll be 20 years.
Whoa, awesome. 20 years is a lot for a line.
Yeah, I think it's probably the longest running, continuously running toy line. I don't want to say ever, because I mean, maybe action figure line. I mean, obviously you can't count things like Barbie. G.I. Joe started and stopped a whole bunch of times. Even the Marvel Legends line stopped and then started up again with a different company. But we've been going consistently for 20 years, 80 series, and that doesn't count all the ones we released for Toys R Us and Walgreens and box sets and things that we did. So we have literally released thousands of characters. Well, thousands of Minimates. I think we're getting close to 1,000 characters in terms of actual Marvel characters and other characters.
Maybe it's time to create a guide for to all Minimates. Should be an interesting idea.
There's actually a really great website. It's called the minimatedatabase.com, and it's amazing. It's got every single Minimate that we've ever released in there. Pictures of it, front, back, sides, packaging pictures. It's a really great resource if you're collecting Minimates.
Okay, now a generic question. There is many ways to create. If you listen some sound, because I live near a church, so now it's 8 p.m. where I live, so now will be 8 ring, however. And back to my question. there is many way to create an action figure. No, many philosophy, different philosophy. But to you, what is, in your opinion, the perfect way to create a perfect action figure?
Let's see. I mean, a lot of people will say that a good action figure has to have, a certain amount of articulation. A lot of people say an action figure has to have a really good likeness to, whatever character it is, usually a live action character. I think, the number of action figures that get, a perfect likeness with, the perfect amount of articulation is rare. I'm sure they exist. But we try to deliver, the best likeness when it's a likeness character, or the best interpretation of an art character, along with the articulation that's right for the character. So, I mean, we'll do a lot of double joints if it's a character that needs it. But if it's not a character that needs it, then we may not necessarily put, that many points of articulation into it, especially if it's going to, we want the figure to look good when it's standing still as well as when it's moving. So oftentimes we'll use articulation that will be not as obtrusive. It's not going to stick out when you're looking at it just standing there. There are a lot of lines where the articulation is first, that comes first, and they don't make an attempt to hide it, which is fine. I'm not casting aspersions on it or anything like that, but it's definitely not how we do it at Diamond Select Toys. Whether that's the best way, whether that's the way I think it's the best way. I think it's the best way. Some people, disagree, but we definitely try to, balance everything when it comes to delivering the action figure, including cost. There's a lot of figure lines that out there that cost $50, $60, $70. And, we try to deliver a good figure for $30, which to me, price is what defines a toy. Because if it's, if it's above a certain price, then you're starting to get into the realm of, it's certainly a high end collectible, but, it's not something you want to play around with because you're going to be afraid you're going to break it. And then you're going to be out $80, $90, $100. So I like a toy that's affordable. Personally, just because I like to be able to collect them, and I don't want it to be a life decision to buy it.
And I have a message also for the people that are watching now, because I read now in the chat some question. In the last 10 minutes of interview, if you have your question to Zach, you can put the question now in the chat, and later, if Zach, it's okay for you, Zach, if you answer also some question by the fans, you're welcome. Because I saw some question for you, and also some compliments for both. But, however, speaking of articulation, for example, to me, my idea is that, I prefer less articulation, but save the shape of the sculpt of the figure. Because sometimes double joints and some stuff like that broken a little bit the shape of the figure, the sculpt. To me, it's important watch a figure with a good likeness, but also accurate from a cartoon or from a movie. And sometimes the double joints on the elbow, on the knee, to watch that, maybe it's good to pose the figure because you can have a different way to pose your figure. But this type of figure with too much articulation give some problem for the shape, in my opinion. So, in my personal opinion, I prefer more accurate figure, but less articulation to don't broken the shape. What do you think about that for the articulation?
I definitely think that's important. I think, depending on the character, you want it to look like, how it originally looked. I mean, with Nightmare Before Christmas, a lot of those characters, we want them to look exactly the way they looked in the movie. And, that means we can't add articulation in a lot of places where somebody might want articulation. Some of the joints we put in there are very, very small and thin, and we try to make them as strong as we can so they so they'll stay together. Some we designed to pop out rather than break, so you can put it back in once it comes out. But articulation is definitely something we try to use when it works. If it's going to affect, we have a line coming up for Invader Zim, and some people have said, Invader Zim, there's no elbows, so I'm not interested in the Invader Zim line. But if we were to add elbows, the arm is maybe an inch long. They're not long arms on these figures, maybe 2 inches. And to add in articulation there would not only, be lead to probably breakage issues, but it would also, change the look of the characters who are very stylized in the cartoon. So it definitely is something that we need to not limit, but we need to make choices about where the articulation is going to go, because it doesn't make sense in all situations.
Okay, and speaking of, you see that you have a T-shirt of the Ghostbusters. I use this T-shirt today because to pay homage of the awesome job the Diamond Select Toys did for Ghostbusters. I remember a diorama, and speaking of likeness, perfect likeness of, for example, one of my favorite actor, Dan Aykroyd. Can you tell me a little bit the story? How start at that time the Ghostbuster line? What is the philosophy behind that? What type of figure to create?
Well, I don't know what sort of philosophy there was, aside from at the time there had been a Mattel line, but in my personal opinion, I don't think the Mattel really captured the looks of the characters as best they could. Some people came out when our figures came out and said, no, Mattel did a better job. I respectfully disagree. I think Mattel, made some good figures, but they were not great likenesses in my opinion. So we wanted them to look like the characters. We wanted them to be realistic and have a lot of detail, and we also wanted to do something that nobody had ever done before, which was build a diorama, which we have done in smaller scales. We've done buildable dioramas, with maybe 3, 4, 5 pieces, but this was something that was going to take 15 pieces. Or 15 figures anyway, more pieces than that to build, and that was the rooftop. So that was our president Chuck Tercera's big dream, and he made it happen. He made it work. I don't know how he did it, but it was a really great diorama. And then when we finished that, he went and he did it again, which I couldn't believe either, with the firehouse doors. So he's the visionary for the company, and he sees the big pictures, and he sees what he wants to do with the product, and he hires the best people he can to execute it. We've got some really talented sculptors working for us. The Ghostbusters ones were done by Gentle Giant Studios, obviously, who do a lot of work for us, but we also have a lot of independent artists who work for us, who do both realistic live action work, and also comic-based work as well.
Awesome. Also, I believe you did also something about the real Ghostbusters cartoon figure. I'm correct for that?
Yes. The second batch of figures for the firehouse doors, we did 2 series of real Ghostbusters. So it was the 4 Ghostbusters and Slimer and Mr. Stay Puft, who we did at. We've made big Stay Puffs before. We made a big 23-inch tall one that was a vinyl bank, which, again, in my opinion, is one of the best likenesses of the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man they've ever done. I think it's that bank, that 23-inch bank, is a really good-looking interpretation. I've seen a lot of other versions of it, and I don't think any of them have come that close. But this one was, we did an 8-inch version, which was still pretty cool because nobody's ever gotten an articulated Mr. Stay Puft at that scale. They've always been very stiff, and this one was actually pretty articulated, could do a lot of stuff. So, the real Ghostbusters line was very popular. It was kind of on the tail end of our Ghostbusters license, so we weren't able to go back and make more when it turned out to be such a huge hit. but maybe someday we'll be able to revisit that. But right now, unfortunately, there's still a lot of people out there who are still trying to collect them, which is unfortunate. But we tried to put out as many as we could, before everything wrapped up.
We finger crossed to have more in the future from Diamond Select Toys for Ghostbusters, because the stuff that you did was awesome, in my opinion, in the Ghostbusters line.
Yeah, it was a great line.
And
I was a big fan.
Awesome. And I want to, with you, make a little recap of the something new about the Diamond Select Toys, because I go to your blog and I saw many stuff for many lines. I want to start with one of the brand that I like so much is Lord of the Ring lines that you have brand. I saw in a new Golem deluxe figure. Is correct?
Yes, that's correct. It will have.
Can you tell me something about this figure?
Sure. We offered a Golem in the San Diego Comic-Con 2-pack box set with Twilight Frodo, and that one comes with 2 different heads, and I think a fish and his boat, and I think maybe an extra hand. And but we wanted to do something, make it available to the regular line, so we did a deluxe version. He comes with his rock formation for him to perch on. He comes with 3 heads, including a happy Smeagol head that we didn't include in the box set for San Diego, and he comes with some additional accessories for other characters, including knives for Legolas, a dagger for Aragorn, and a throwing axe for Gimli. And I believe he does also come with extra hands, and I think also another fish. So he's definitely got a lot that comes with him. I know some people were disappointed they weren't able to get the knives for Legolas, but now they'll be able to get them through Golem. Yeah, it's going to be a really nice figure. We're going to do. I don't know what we're doing for packaging. I think we're just about to release images of the San Diego box set, which is like a book that opens and shows the characters inside. But I don't know exactly what we're doing for the deluxe edition packaging. That's going to be just a window box or a 5th panel window box with the opening door.
Awesome. And speaking of the Lord of the Rings brand again, we talked earlier about the awesome diorama that you did with the Ghostbusters. Is possible in the future have something like that also for the brand of Lord of the Rings? Build up a diorama also for Lord of the Rings in the future?
It's certainly possible. We don't have another Build-A-Figure planned right now, and after we finish Sauron in Series 3. So another Build-A-Figure is possible. A Build-A-Diorama is possible, although I'd wonder what diorama would be something we could capture in that Build-A-Diorama format without it taking another 15 figures like the Ghostbusters. The environments in Lord of the Rings are so big and sprawling. But we are also looking at doing Lord of the Rings products in other categories. So we may be looking at doing something larger, like a larger character or a diorama in the gallery line or the statue line. So we'll see how those go. I think we're looking to offer one fairly soon. But hopefully that'll be something that fans will get behind. It might end up being a little bit, more expensive due to the materials involved, but hopefully they'll think it's worth it.
Okay, I don't know if I'm frozen now, because I see you frozen now.
Oh, am I frozen? I'm sorry.
No, but it's not your fault, because I tell you a little story. In Italy, we have a Jurassic connection, so a slow collection, especially at the time, because we are at 8 p.m. is a time with the connection. Many people goes to the website, so the problem is the connection in Italy. And speaking of Lord of the Ring again, because I like this line, I watch many times both trilogy, the Hobbit trilogy and also the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Is possible in the future have also some bigger scale character, maybe a troll, for example?
Yes, yes, I may have frozen during some of that, but it's we're definitely looking at doing more larger scale characters, not necessarily Build-A-Figures, but bigger characters that are either statues or dioramas that'll fit into the line. They may be a little bit more expensive, but they'll hopefully the fans will think that they're worth the investment.
Awesome, awesome. And back to other brand that you have, I saw on your website also the Snake Eyes diorama. Tell me something about that.
Yes, that is the second GI Joe diorama we've offered. The first one was Destro. Actually, it's the third because we offered Destro, and then we offered a variant, the Prophet Director Destro with the gold helmet. That was for, gosh, was that for Free Comic Book Day? I don't think it was. I think it was for, no, it was for our summit, our retailer summit that we offered. But that was an exclusive product we offered. Those should both be coming out this summer or fall. We've had some delays at the ports, so some stuff has been held up a little bit longer than normal. But yeah, Snake Eyes is the new one with timber, and it's a really great dynamic piece. I love it. And let's see if I can remember who worked on that one. I want to say that was Jorge Santos Souza who sculpted it, and the design was two people. It was, I think, Tony Simeone and Mark Wong. Yeah, it's a really great piece. Part of that whole GI Joe line of product we're doing. We're also offering a Legends in 3 Dimensions bust of Storm Shadow, the half-scale busts that are about 10 inches tall, and then we're doing a box of Mini-Mates, GI Joe Mini-Mates. That'll be available, I hope, this summer.
Okay. And this is another different question because you did, Diamond Selector did awesome figure in different brand. You collect also the figure that you created?
Me personally? Yes. Yeah, I have
Yes.
I have a lot of Marvel Selects, a lot of just the general Select figures. Whenever I can get a hold of one of our Select figures, sometimes I'll leave stuff in my office at the home office, and I work remotely. So whenever something comes in, I say, "Oh, can you please send that to me? I'd like to play with it." They're nice enough to send me stuff to fool around with and see how it works and stuff like that. I used to take a lot of pictures for our social media, but now we have some really great photographers taking stuff much better than me. So I don't get in the stuff as much, but I still get in the pieces. I still get in Mini-Mates whenever I can. I love Mini-Mates. But I collect some other figures from other companies as well. Not a lot, but mostly Diamond Select toy stuff. They keep me pretty busy.
Awesome. And I saw also on the Diamond Select Toys website also many new figures about Marvel Legend. No, Marvel, so Marvel, not Marvel Legend. Speaking of Marvel Select, can you tell me which are the new products from Diamond Select Toys for the Marvel brand?
For Marvel Select action figures specifically, I saw somebody had a question about Titanium Man. Titanium Man should be coming pretty soon, I think. Also, Silver Centurion Iron Man, Human Torch. I'm trying to think. We're reissuing The Watcher and Venom. So those two figures are upcoming. I'm not sure the exact release date of either of those. But the other three, the three I mentioned before, should be on their way to the warehouse, I believe. And then, we've got a lot of Mini-Mates. We've got a couple more series of Mini-Mates coming up. Series 81 is all based on the Dark Phoenix saga. And then we've got an exclusive box set for San Diego of the original movie Avengers. And we're doing a lot of statues in Legends in 3 Dimensions busts. Dr. Doom Legends in 3 Dimension bust we have coming up. We have some great statues of the Rhino and a lot of statues sculpted by Claiborne Moore, who's one of our sculptors, and he's a great sculptor. But we have a lot of different sculptors working on stuff for Marvel, absolutely. Yeah, it's kind of up in the air with what's going on with movies versus TV. Our Black Widow Taskmaster action figure, movie Taskmaster, came out, gosh, almost a year ago at this point. So it's kind of thrown things off a little bit, but we're still working on stuff for upcoming entertainment for Marvel, as well as comic-based stuff. We just put out the Loki action figure, comic-based Loki action figure at the Disney store. That was the last one we did for the Disney store. Before that, we did Winter Soldier and Sam Wilson, Captain America. That was a TV version of the Sam Wilson. And yeah, I think we have some more figures coming up for Disney. Not just action figures, but also statues and busts. And yeah, just a lot of great stuff in the works. Marvel is our, one of our flagship brands, that and Star Wars for Gentle Giant Limited.
Awesome. And because Marvel Select is become now a new way to love this character, because we have a competition obviously with Marvel Legends, but you were able to create a new way to love this character. I think it's a big deal, also a big challenge in the beginning, I believe, or not?
The Marvel Select line in general?
Yes, it was a big challenge to create a different way to create something with this character of Marvel, because you have a competition obviously with Marvel Legends, and you create something different that people love so much also. So it's a big goal, get this stuff this way to create something about Marvel but different than Marvel Legends. In my opinion, it's a big goal because I understand in the community that many people loves the Marvel Select product. So it's a big deal that, and a big goal to create another way for the Marvel characters line.
The line when it started back in 2002, because that's 20 years for that line also. That line was very different when it started than the way it is now. It was designed and I believe sculpted by Toy Biz. So they would actually do a lot of the development on it, and then we would do the manufacturing, I believe. I think I get that right. So we would work hand in hand with Toy Biz, who had just started Marvel Legends. Marvel Legends was just starting around the same time. We would work hand in hand with them to create these 7-inch scale characters. And our license for what we could do was pretty limited. I think at the beginning we only had Ultimate characters and Marvel Knights. So we couldn't do everything. So that's why the first few characters were Ultimate Spider-Man, Ultimate World War II Captain America, Ultimate Hulk, the Punisher, Daredevil. Actually, Daredevil probably didn't come until later. But anyway, it was a very different, and dioramas were much more important. Well, we still make a lot of dioramas for the Marvel Select line, but dioramas were very important back then in the beginning, because that was something that definitely set us apart from Marvel Legends. That, in addition to the scale, and the detail. There was a lot of detail in there that they couldn't pull off in Marvel Legends, even back then. They made some detailed figures back then, but I mean, we wanted to make it more detailed, higher price point, the bigger dioramas. It was definitely a different line than it is now, but it was supposed to be a very different line from Marvel Legends. So the differences were more back then than they are now.
Okay. And we know that in Diamond Select Toys you have many licenses for different brands. But what is your favorite brand that you have on Diamond Select Toys? Your favorite brand that you like so much?
Oh gosh, I have to say I really do love Marvel. I mean, everybody loves Marvel, but I love the Marvel movies and comics more than I love DC comics and movies. So Marvel is up there, but besides Marvel, I think, I didn't realize until we started making the Lord of the Rings toys how much I really like Lord of the Rings. I mean, I've read the books, I've seen the movies, but it's not something where I went back and rewatched the movies over and over again or reread the books over and over again. But I do enjoy what we're doing with that line. I do like what we're doing with the Lord of the Rings line. So, I mean, I'm very excited to build Sauron. Every time I can, I take pictures of my Legolas and Gimli that I have. I don't have Frodo yet, unfortunately. But the Lord of the Rings line is pretty great. That and some of the Disney licenses like The Rocketeer and Pirates of the Caribbean. So I'm fans of those movies as well. And Mini-Mates. I love Mini-Mates. Any Mini-Mates.
Awesome. Me too. I like the Lord of the Rings figure that you created, and also I rewatch many times the trilogy, both trilogy, The Hobbit and also Lord of the Rings. And I like also the Hobbit trilogy because we have more space in the story also for the dwarf characters. Because in the Hobbit trilogy, the dwarves become protagonists in their story. And also, for example, in my opinion, a smog dragon figure by Diamond Select Toys should be awesome. This big dragon.
That would be great. People ask us all the time if we're going to do something from The Hobbit. And if we can, there's so much ground to cover with Lord of the Rings that it's, it's hard to say, oh, Hobbit's next. But if the Lord of the Rings stuff does well, I don't see why we wouldn't, try to expand what we're offering. But, people are going to be mad if we don't make Boromir,
Yes. And speaking of another brand that you have in Diamond Select, I'm talking about the Muppets. You did awesome figure for the Muppets, and it's coming more for that, for the Muppets.
Yes. When we offered Series 4 initially, we weren't able to offer everybody. We weren't able to produce it, so we had to go back and offer Swedish Chef by himself. And then we went back and we made Dr. Teeth and Zoot as part of the Electric Mayhem box set. And now we're finally getting around to releasing them on their own. So they're coming up. And then that leaves Sam the Eagle and Rizzo. And we are going to be offering Sam the Eagle and Rizzo very soon. So that will be the last figures that we already have sculpted that we'll be offering. But if those do well, then I don't see why we wouldn't go back and look into doing some more characters. So when you see those pop up, the Sam the Eagle and Rizzo, pre-order definitely, so that we can make sure those get out into stores and we can look at the other characters we haven't done and make some more. Am I frozen again?
Sometimes maybe because of the... Yes, a little bit, but because the problem is the connection. I'm sorry for that, but
that's all right. I'm sorry.
At this time, you need. And maybe we take a look a little bit of the questions we have from the fans, because I saw a lot of questions from you. And this question was put days before of our interview, so I want to start with this one by Damian Ristori. Says that what other non-Marvel or DC line will you do from the 80s if add the lines Gobots, Centurions, Dino Riders, Bravestar, or anything else?
Gosh. We're working on some late 80s licenses. They might be more early 90s licenses right now. I don't know if any of those are something we'd be looking at. Centurions were great. Dino Riders, I never really had any. Bravestar was great. GoBots. I mean, those are a lot of. We're working with Hasbro on a lot of stuff, but I believe Hasbro is Centurions and GoBots at least. So I don't think we have any plans to tackle those specific ones right now, but we are working on some more retro properties, early 90s cartoon properties, late 80s that I think people will be very excited about. So in addition to all the Hasbro stuff we're doing, we're going to do stuff with Dungeons and Dragons, the cartoon, not just the game. We're going to do some Power Rangers stuff. But again, that's more 90s. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of stuff coming up in that wheelhouse, but not those lines specifically that I'm aware of. But hopefully what we put out is something that people will be interested in.
Okay, also because I believe that ever for the first time ever for Bracer, for example, a cartoon accurate line should be interesting because no one did before a cartoon accurate toy for Bracer. Still a dream to me have this possibility because no one did that before. I had the vintage Bracer figure, but those figure as many other toy of the 80s it wasn't a cartoon accurate. If you compare the Tex-Ex figure of Braystar from Mattel and the character of the cartoon or the filmation, we have two different type of character. So it's something that we're missing. So maybe if it's possible in the future, should be interesting, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Other question?
No, I was just gonna say, I don't know if you saw the line that they're doing for oh gosh, Silverhawks. I think that's is it Super
So,
7 that's doing Silverhawks?
yes,
But it
yes,
looks
super
really
Story.
great. Yeah, so I can see them. I can see that them tackling Brave Star absolutely because they already work with Mattel pretty closely. You should
Yes,
definitely ask
yes,
them.
I did an interview with Brian Flynn a few weeks ago about the Silverhawks figure from Super 7. And by the way, this is the episode number 21st of my show. And my show the first episode started with Brian Flynn last year. He was a part in 3 episodes. So he was the guy that started the show with me. And another question for you. I think I try to show because today the connection is so bad. Okay. What news do you have regarding DS Titan Man, who I have to say looks fabulous, and any other classics bad guys will be welcome?
Yes, the Titanium Man. I think we've just got not too long ago production samples, like actually from the factory. So I think we send it off to our photographer to take some cool pictures of, because a lot of the pictures that have gotten out there, he wasn't fully put together the right way. So I send it to we send a production sample to the photographer, and hopefully he'll get some new pictures taken so we can get those out there. But yeah, he's definitely coming. He's already been produced by the factory, so it's just a question of getting him from there in China to here, which is tricky because the port in Los Angeles is backed up. There are a lot of boats sitting offshore that aren't unloading, aren't able to unload, and then in China, I know that they've had some resurgence of COVID, which I think has caused them to not load as fast. I think that's cut some of the workforce over there, so they aren't as able to load the boats as quickly as usual. So not only is there a delay on this side of the Pacific Ocean, there's a delay on the other side of the Pacific Ocean. So it adds up to toys showing up a little later than they were supposed to. But Titanium Man is done and on the way.
Okay. Still problem with the connection today. I don't know why. I know why, because we have Jurassic connection in Italy. This time, but last time was bad. It was the same time. I don't know. You can hear me, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I can hear and see you.
Yes, because I listen not very well now. Now maybe yes, because sometimes I listen your voice, but I don't know if it's only my problem. The people watch normal. I don't know. However, back to another question. Sorry for that, for this technical Italian connection. The for you, if it works, because also put the question on the screen become difficult today. Okay, is this what there is? Please do the Monsterverse and more DC character to your gallery line.
Yes, DC character. We are currently manufacturing for DC characters is currently on hold. but we hope to restart it again in the near future. And once that does, then we'll be able to offer more figures to customers and retailers. So hopefully DC characters will come back soon. Monsterverse, I'd love to do Monsterverse. I'd love, even if we weren't doing action figures, because I know there are a couple companies doing action figures right now. I'd love to do gallery dioramas for the Monsterverse. I think those would be really fantastic. But I'm not sure if that's something we're looking at right now. We did a lot of monster stuff back in the day, but maybe if some more stuff happens on the movie front, maybe it's something we can revisit. I'd love to.
Okay, and now I have my question for you, but back before your work with Diamond Select, because when I did an interview on the stand with Alex Kropnak, I saw in the YouTube some of his old stop motion, and I saw in the credits of this stop motion also your name. Can you tell me something about that?
Before I worked for Diamond Select Toys, I worked for a magazine called ToyFare, which was published by Wizard Entertainment, who published Wizard the Magazine to guide to comics. And Alex was working for us. He worked in research, and he shot the pictures for all of our Twisted Toy Fair Theater for a little while. And he also turned some of those Twisted Toy Fair Theater stories, the Fumettis panel stories, into animations. So he did one of I think he did one with the Transformers. I think he did one with Harry Potter. And I like to think I'm good at voices. I'm probably not. I'm probably terrible at voices, but I like to think I'm good at voices. So I volunteered to do whatever voices they would let me do. So I can't remember if I did a character for the Harry Potter one. I think Justin Ackland did Snape. So I might have done Dumbledore or Harry or something like that. And then for the Transformers one, I can't remember who I was. But it was fun. It was a lot of fun to do because we were just a bunch of kids having fun doing stuff at the magazine and just messing around with things and making fun of stuff. And then later on, he would come and do some work for us at Diamond Select Toys. He did a really great Universal Monsters video for us, Universal Monsters at Halloween. He did a couple of great Minimate animations for us based on our original Minimate lines, which were Calico Jack's Pirate Raiders and Mobile Action Extreme, I think it was called, the Max Minimates Max line. And then he did a really great Ghostbusters animation for us, which I believe he showed on your show.
Yes, you show me in the episode. So cool. Also because I believe he used also your diorama for that, because I remember the stop motion with Gozer and the Ghostbusters, the scene "You are a god," the scene with the Ray Stans that says "I'm not a god." So he made this scene was so cool in my opinion. There is a comment to me also in the chat says Mr. Alan is now famous. There is another question for you. I try to show you. Okay, Wrecking Crew Minimates when?
I don't know. I keep pushing for them. I keep saying we got to make them, but we'll have to see. Maybe we can work them into the next one of the next series we do. Because series 81 is Dark Phoenix Saga. Series 82 is Fantastic Four. I don't think that's going to change, but we'll find out. I see somebody was asking about 82. I think Endo 40K was. And then 83, I don't think we've decided on 83 yet. I'm going to push for Wrecking Crew in 83 because I'd love to see the Wrecking Crew. I think they're long overdue. But I guess we'll see how that works out. We haven't done an Avengers wave in a little while, I don't think. So it would make sense to do something Avengers related.
Okay, another question is this one. So about Legolas Dagger.
Yes.
I don't know.
Those will be
what
packaged.
This mean. Okay.
Those will be packaged with the upcoming deluxe Golem action figure. we know people were looking for them, so we put them and an additional Gimli weapon and an additional Aragorn weapon in with the deluxe Golem action figure. So hopefully that works for you guys to get that figure and get that accessory, those accessories that are coming with it. Golem comes with an extra head, so you can set up a Smeagol. He comes with his crouching rock. It's going to be a really cool figure, so hopefully everybody's going to be cool with picking it up.
Okay, the next question is for me by answer that, where I can buy hat like mine, but my hat, I got my hat, this one in a shop in Italy, and the other one, because I have also a white top hat that I use in some interview, that I got that in UK. When I go to London, I saw many stuff. I purchased a white top hat that I use sometimes in my interview. Another question for you. On the subject of Minimates, any new info on Wave 82, Fantastic Four one?
As far as I know, that will be offered next. Series 81 is up for pre-order now, and I'm not sure when that's going to hit exactly, but hopefully slightly before it hits or around the time it hits, we'll offer Series 82. So you'll be able to pre-order that, I would think, by the end of the year at the very latest. So keep an eye out for that. I'll be letting everybody know on the Minimate Multiverse and on Facebook and all that. So definitely keep an eye out.
Awesome. So we have 82, 81 wave for Minimates in general. What is the name number? It's unbelievable that.
Yes.
Unbelievable. But I believe also is also a result of a big success if you arrive at these numbers of wave.
It's definitely it definitely has an amazing group of fans. There are some people who maybe it fell off their radar and they're like, wait, they're still making Minimates. But for the fans of Minimates, they still love Minimates as much as they did in day one. There are people who've been collecting them since day one. So I've seen kids. There's a collector that I met when he was a young boy, and he would come to conventions and he would use our Build a Minimate display where he would go and he would build his own Minimates. And I watched him grow up over the course of I've been working for DST for 10 years. So I watched him grow up, and he's probably in his early 20s by now. But I still see him pop up on the message boards every now and again. So hopefully he's still collecting. But there's people who've grown up with Minimates, and it's definitely a very unusual line in the world of action figures.
Oh, so I saw also some vignette that you put on social with the Minimates are so fun.
Oh,
some pictures that you.
Oh yeah, I like taking pictures of the Minimates. Yeah, so on my personal Instagram, I still post pictures up there. I'm Zach Oat, ZACHOAT on Instagram. So I'll post pictures there. But otherwise, we send them to that really great that really great photographer we use. I've got to make sure he's got Series 81 so he can take some cool pictures.
Cool. Other question, maybe this one. I show now. It's a little bit slow because the connect. Ever considered re-releasing the diorama pieces from your Legends?
I think you mean selects, but I think we have done that for certain lines, not for others. Like for Nightmare Before Christmas, we're doing a new set for San Diego that'll have a reissue of the Hanging Tree, who is kind of a character, kind of a diorama, and also the toy building tables. So that's probably the first time we've done that in a long time. Offer diorama pieces again. Usually we say, usually with the best of lines we've been doing for Nightmare Before Christmas and Muppets, we don't offer a lot of the diorama pieces, or at least for Muppets, we don't offer some of the secondary characters. So there's definitely room to do that, but whether or not it's something we can do under our license, depending on the diorama, whether it's license specific or just generic, there's probably a lot where we wouldn't necessarily be able to do that. I don't think it's in our license for Marvel, certainly, but who knows? Maybe in the future.
I don't know if I lost you again because now I listen nothing. Maybe I'm frozen. Yes. Tonight, sorry for that. Tonight the connection in Italy is horrible.
Did you hear any of that
today? Because I don't. Now, yes. Sometimes you back in real life with it because sometimes I listen. I don't know. Maybe it's just a problem to me because I hope that the people can see everything well. Because sometimes I had some problem and I discover later when I rewatch the interview that everything was okay, but during the interview looks like frozen. But just to me, maybe for my connection. However, there is another interesting question for this one for Power Rangers mini-mates, D&D mates. For Power Rangers, is possible something?
I believe that we had worked up some designs, but I'm not sure if that's something that we're when or if we're going to be moving forward with those for Power Rangers. Dungeons and Dragons, I haven't seen any designs for that, but either one is a possibility, depending on how well our first Power Rangers products go. I think we're getting ready to offer our first Power Rangers product. It's not Mini-Mates, but we are going to be offering a Power Rangers item fairly soon. Dungeons and Dragons, we're still working on some of that stuff, but hopefully people will dig what we're doing, and hopefully Mini-Mates. I want Mini-Mates for everything, so hopefully we'll see something for one of those.
Okay, another interesting question is this, in my opinion. Zach absolutely loved the upcoming animated series Mysterio and Doc Ock's Bust. So just wanted to say I think they will be popular or in figure line.
I know that people have asked us to do a Marvel Select Mysterio and a Marvel Select Dr. Octopus, because the one Dr. Octopus we did was very much based on one specific look he had. I don't know if he's a character we'd revisit, Dr. Octopus, but Mysterio is one we get a lot of requests for, so it's possible that we might see him in the future. Whether or not they'll be animated style versus realistic comic style, probably not. But I know that Hasbro's been doing some more animated style figures in like animated style packaging, in fact. So they may be a good bet for seeing stuff there. But hopefully we'll get to both those characters at some point in the Select line, but probably in a more realistic style. Gosh, it's hot.
Okay, and back a little bit once again for what you did with Ghostbusters. At that time, was scheduled also an action figure for Vigo, the Carpathian bad guy of Ghostbusters 2?
Uh-oh. I think we lost Alan. Oh, no. Let's see. We did a Vigo. I wonder if Alan doesn't know about it. We did a Vigo figure for the Ghostbusters line, and it had I think it had an alternate head too, and it came with the baby. I'm pretty sure it came with the baby. And oh no, Janosch I think came with the baby. But anyway, we did do a Vigo, and he was very cool. I'm a big fan of the Ghostbusters second movie because even though I'd seen the first one, and it was mostly kid appropriate. The second one was maybe a little bit more kid appropriate, and that one was on videotape in my house. We taped it off a TV, so I watched that one all the time. Ghostbusters.
Robin, I don't know if you can see me.
I can see you now.
Sorry for that, but
that's all right. I was just telling people about Ghostbusters too.
Yes, the question was about a possible figure at the time was scheduled a figure for Vigo from Ghostbusters 2.
We did Vigo. We made the Vigo figure. We definitely made it. It was one of the figures to build the front doors of the firehouse. Yeah, we made him. We made the baby. We made Janosch. He's out there. He's definitely out there. If you need one, let me know. I might be able to dig up one in my shed.
I missed that. So I need to find. Is possible find somewhere this figure now?
I think if you're looking for Ghostbusters Diamond Select figures at this point, if it's not in your local comic shop, which you can find at comicshoplocator.com, then you're probably going to need to go on the secondary market, meaning like eBay or Amazon. I don't know how much he'll run you nowadays. Maybe loose so you can get them for cheaper if you don't need the diorama pieces.
Okay, no, because a Vigo figure should be awesome. Because that character, in my opinion, was epic. Also, the concept of a character inside a portrait that become in real life. To me, for in general, the sequel of the movie sometimes is not in the same level of the first movie. By my opinion, and also with I talk about that. Also, Alex Kropina was agreed for me because he's also a big fan of that movie. Ghostbusters 2, in my opinion, is better than the first one because it's like a little. If you watch the story, if you think about the story, the plot of the story, it's like a repackaging because the development of the story is similar for the first one, but they gave in this movie something better. The museum stuff, the Vigo character, also the backstory of the guys. Then when they lost their popularity, they become normal people with other works. I like this. The story was, in my opinion, was better than the first one. I'm a big fan of the first one, but the second one, maybe because I remember when I go to the theater to watch that movie, I was a kid. It was maybe the first time ever I goes to in the theater. And so I watched 2 times on the theater that movie. I like the story, the concept of the evil guys inside the port. I think it was genial, idea.
No, while you were gone, I was telling everybody
So
how much I like the second one. I love the second movie.
Okay. Thank you to don't put the stream in a silence moment without me because I was gone. And how many time do you have now?
Oh, I can go as long as you like.
How many? Okay, maybe other question from other 2 or 3 questions if you okay for you.
Sure, yeah.
I'm back, guys. I'm back. Someone with me. And what is the figure product that you made with that you are so proud about Diamond Select until now? Your favorite figure, favorite release ever?
My favorite release for Diamond Select, like anything we've released?
Exactly.
Let's see. It's probably, and again, this is just what's closest in my mind. Probably, I'm sure if I went back far enough, I could find something that I really like. Like, back in the day, they made Monty Python and the Holy Grail action figures, which were a lot of fun, and they had like sound effects, and so you could say lines from the movie. And back then, I was just a huge fan. So that was something we made that was really cool. But now, it's probably the Iron Giant action figure that we made, the 8-inch tall one, with the switch on the back to turn on the eye lights, and it's fully articulated, and it's got the clip-on Superman symbol on his chest, and it comes with a little magnetic Hogarth that can sit on his shoulder, and it's an amazing figure. We sold out of it, and I think we're making more, but it's a lot. I've had a lot of people tell me that it was like one of the best figures of the year. Some people say it's one of their favorite figures to take pictures of. It's just got a lot of stuff going on, and it's just a really great toy. So that's probably one of my favorite figures we've ever made, we've ever released from DST. But the Rocketeer is pretty cool too.
Awesome. I saw also some new figure about Star Wars on the blog of Diamond Select website. Can you tell me something about Star Wars right now with the new product?
Sure. We make a lot of statues through Gentle Giant Limited, statues and busts, and also jumbo action figures, the 12-inch action figures. But we've been doing some special stuff for the Disney store. So the Disney store, we have gallery dioramas of Darth Vader and the Mandalorian, which are really cool, really affordable $50 sculptures. And then we have action figures. We have Darth Maul and we have Boba Fett. And they're really good figures. They're 7-inch scale. They're pretty darn articulated. They come with some great accessories. And we're going to do more. We're going to make more of those action figures for Disney Store. So we're working on them now. They're taking a little more time than usual, but they're really cool, and hopefully they'll be out. Hopefully they'll be out by the end of the year. I'm not sure the exact release date, but we're working our way through it to get them out by the end of the year. So keep an eye out. We'll send out an announcement when they're ready to go. I usually email all the press sites and put it up on our blog, and that's usually when the pre-orders go up on the Disney Store. So keep an eye out, and we'll have more information about it.
Awesome. And speaking of the statue, from Diamond Select, you made a lot of that for many brands. But how started this idea to create not just only action figures but also statue? How started this idea to create this type of product?
Well, the funny thing is the statues, the gallery dioramas, the inexpensive statues we've been making for a while, but we were calling them something else. We were calling them femme fatales, and they were PVC sculptures, again inspired a lot by what they were doing in Japan with PVC statues. And we would do like beautiful women from different shows and comic books, and also we would make up our own characters. And then we started doing them for other licenses like Star Trek and Batman the Animated Series. And it just sort of evolved into being like just an all-purpose, not just women, statue line. So they're dioramas, not statues, but they're gallery dioramas. That's the name of the line. So that was just how that evolved. But in terms of why we do it versus not just doing action figures or not just doing mini-mates, it helps to have a diverse line for the purposes of just royalties and just the way you pay for the license. You need to promise to make a certain amount of money when you take on a license, and it's not so easy to do with a low price point item like an action figure or a mini mate. But when you factor in larger price point items, it gets a lot easier to get to that level. So get to that amount. So it's something that is sort of a necessary part of doing an action figure line or a mini mate line for a license. So it's just it just makes sense for us to do that, especially when we're dealing with the smaller numbers that we deal with, like for specialty stores instead of a mass market toy line like that you'd find at Walmart or Target, because we don't really do that. We don't really do action figures or mini mates for Walmart or Target. We'll do mini mates for Walgreens, and we'll do action figures for the Disney store, but the numbers are not comparable, really. Does that make sense?
Okay. And yes. And another question for another fan. Too long ago with Muppets, would sorry for my pronunciation, Fraggle Rock and Sesame Street appeal to those fans out there too?
That's definitely been asked about. Sesame Street is a tough one because it's such a kid-focused property. But Fraggle Rock, do you know Fraggle Rock, Alan?
No, not too much. I know the name a little bit, but not too much.
It's another Muppet. Yeah,
so
there's another Muppet series. I think in the new Ask DST, we have a column where you can ask the president questions and he'll actually answer them. I think in the next one, he answers a question about Fraggle Rock, and basically he says that it's something that he would love to do because he loves Fraggle Rock, but it's not something that we've explored very much yet. But we're still trying to make Muppets work. Muppets is a very tricky beast. It's not the same market as it was back when Palisades Toys was putting out Muppets figures left and right. So it's trying to find the right thing to do. Is up? It's 9 o'clock. Trying to find the right thing to do is tricky. But hopefully, if the Muppets keep going well, maybe that's something we can look at in the future. Well, Fraggle Rock would be great.
I like the Muppets in general because I remember the vintage show of the 80s of the Muppets show. So cool. But the other show, I don't know, maybe because wasn't shared in Italy. Because something is weird. Because, for example, speaking of the cartoon, the Filmation Ghostbusters was so popular in Italy. But during an interview, I tried to talk about it with my guest. I understand in US was not popular like in Italy, Filmation's Ghostbusters, for example.
Mm-hmm.
In Italy, it's popular, but other stuff like this Fraggle Rock and Sesame Street is not popular in Italy because maybe wasn't shared in Italy with the translation, something stuff like that. So to me, also for example, Silverhawks and Thundercats, I know they are so popular in the US, but in Italy not so much. For example, depend for the broadcast, the network to choose this cartoon on than the other one. So it's different. Some stuff is different. Some popularity for some show or other one. I discovered that during my interview. But speaking of the Toyland in general, maybe this one could be my final question, maybe. And we know that in general today we have a relaunch of older brand or a new version of old brand, but it's difficult today find in general a new toy line. From Diamond Select Toys, there is any project or any idea, or maybe you thought about that in the past to create a new line?
Yes. We tried to go forward with a couple of we succeeded in going forward with a couple of lines of Mini-Mates that were offered at Toys R Us in the United States. One was called Pirate Raiders, and it was all pirates, a line of pirate action figures based on pirates from history, but its own storyline and their own designs. And that was a really fun line. And we went I think we did one series at Toys R Us with that. We weren't able to go to series 2, although we had some characters designed, sculpted even. And then the other one was Mobile Action Extreme, which was the Mini-Mates Max line. And it was like police, fire, army, Air Force, rescue, all teamed up to go on special missions to, rescue people and things like that. It was sort of like a G.I. Joe meets, I don't know, Rescue Heroes, I guess. So it was a lot of fun. The animation that Alex Kropanak did for it was so good. It was so amazing. It was really a big part of what I think was awesome about it. And we did a couple waves at Toys R Us. We did some vehicles for that one, which was cool. The pirate line had vehicles too. And then
Awesome.
And those were 2 that we did. We also tried to bring back Battle Beasts, which was, again, a relaunch, but it was our own take on Battle Beasts. It was our own, 100%, new version of Battle Beasts, basically just taking that they were animals who fought and just spinning it into something else. And we did a comics book series with IDW, which I think was really good. It was a 4-issue miniseries. And then the Femme Fatales line that I was telling you about before, we did like our own versions of fairy tale characters. So they weren't action figures, they weren't toys, but they were sculptures, and they were of characters that we had designed and created ourselves based on old fairy tales. So those are some lines that we did that were our attempts to be new lines. But it's tough to launch a new line without any sort of entertainment backing it up, a TV show, a comic book, anything like that. It's hard to get it off the ground, and it's hard to get I don't want to speak for retailers, but it's probably also difficult for a retailer to take a risk on something that they don't know anything about. They don't know who's going to buy it. They don't know who's going to like it. They can look at it and say whether they like it or not, but they don't know if their customers are going to like it. Um, so it's tricky. It's a very tricky proposition. But we've got a lot of ideas, and when the time comes for us to, launch something like that again, we'll be ready to go.
Finger crossed, by the way, for that. Maybe in the future. And maybe the last question maybe is this one. Also because it's weird. Now we go to the final of the interview. Now the connection works. Okay, and this is a question. Is the last question is that you did a lot of stuff for this business, and I believe that I understand that because I feel also your passion for this work, because I understand that you're also a collector. So maybe you realize your dream with your work because you work with your passion. And the question is that what is your feeling now that you have this job in your passion, work for something related with your passion? And if you have a dream, if you still have a dream about your work today?
Let's see. Yeah, if I wasn't doing this, I don't know what else I would be doing. When I got out of school, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I worked for a little toy company for a little while, and then I worked for a magazine about toys, and then I worked for a website about movies, and now I'm working for a company about toys. And I guess it is my dream job to be able to write about toys every day and play with toys every day. Oh, I'm not supposed to be playing with them every day. I should probably stop playing with them, just start doing more work. But it's a lot of fun, and I honestly sometimes I think what if this job wasn't around? What would I do? But it's tricky. It's very tricky to come up with something that I would be able to figure out.
Okay, and now I go to the piano, and when I go to the piano, my friends, it's time to say goodbye. Thanks for watching, my friends. I'm sorry for the Jurassic connection. But don't worry, because Zach will return in the future for more. And thank you, Zach, to join with me. Thank you, Zach, and see you soon. If you want to come back, you're welcome as usual. And thank you, guys. Thanks for watching, my friends, and see you soon because the next show will be this Saturday. So stay tuned, my friends. So long, everybody. Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. 1, 2, 3, 4.